we open the public session. Is there anyone that wishes to speak to the council? During the meeting, you are not allowed to speak or interrupt the meeting. So if you want to speak, now is your opportunity. Thank you. Are there any apologies, please?
Yes, from the chairman. He's in America at the moment, so he wasn't able to make it to. So he sends his apologies. Do we accept those?
Declarations of interest.
Yeah, can I do my normal one on planning? And I think underneath new declarations it's an ORI, other registrable interest for my membership of Sedgemoor and the county and also the parish hall. And I've got to record a dispensation in relation to the shop.
Yep. Okay. Do all that. Okay.
Are there any others? Yes.
Order in village shop.
Yes. Thank you.
And
Jane.
I have, shares in the village shop.
Okay. Good. Okay. So,
The minutes have been sent out and circulated for Wednesday the 5th of October. Do you wish me to sign those as a true record? Please signify. Thank you.
also, one thing, just to let you know that Aid has actually done his declarations, register of interests, documentation today this week. So he's done that. So he's now bona fide member of the council.
We quickly move on to planning.
Bear in mind, it's cold and wet out there.
0722 018, respective planning applications for the erection of detached garden room and change of use of staff accommodation to a dwelling at Woodlands Cottage, Door Lane. I believe, Sarah, you wish to?
Yeah. Okay, so we looked at this matter last month. In fact, this is a new application. We said it's the retrospective application for the erection of a detached garden room, but it's also a change of use of staff accommodation to a dwelling. In relation to Woodlands Cottage, what we've had since the last meeting, there's a couple of amended plans that have been provided from the architect, and there is the application for the regularisation of the principal residence, change of use from ancillary service accommodation for staff at Woodlands Hotel. Woodlands Hotel was closed, I think, in 2017, and so that use has expired, and the use now is a residential premises or dwelling for a 3-bedroom property. So if we look at the original application, it's for the detached garden room at the rear of the property. The works, just to remind you, are retrospective, but no rating should be given to this fact. The external materials are as one would expect. It's felt roofed with timber, painted windows and doors. The development has no impact to any trees or hedges, to any access, pedestrian, vehicular rights of way, any roadway issues, parking issues or visibility from the public. Woodlands Cottage is not listed. Since the former application, Colin and I have actually attended the site just to view it in light of some of the concerns from neighbouring properties. In light of that, the amended plans, I think it's, and the new application, I think it's worthy of fresh eyes on this and thinking through it again, notwithstanding the decision that we made last month. The plans were a concern at the last meeting. They have now been submitted or new plans now being submitted with size, dimensions and scaling provided. On actually inspecting the development, it was felt that there was concern from the neighbour with regards to line of sight and overlooking the adjoining premises, and actually looking into potentially the bedroom window of the adjoining premises. Our observation was that at eye level, the line of sight would be obscured by fence. The fence has actually been removed, but if the fence is there, there would be no line of sight to the adjoining property, and therefore it was considered, Colin and I felt that it wasn't actually overlooking the adjoining premises, or there was no line of sight to the bedroom window. I think if there was a concern, it's more that the bedroom window is in an elevated position, and actually the line of sight goes the other way, and that there might be a loss of view, that you're now looking at something in the garden where it wasn't there previously. But for the purpose of any planning consideration, that was not a material planning consideration. You can't give any weight to loss of private view. So, but I think the view that Colin and I had when we were actually on the premises is that there wasn't overlooking. Immediately to the side of the development is a hedge, 9 foot tall. So you can't actually see the development if you look straight from the side. We don't think there's overlooking. I don't think it's overshadowing. So no loss of light or overshadowing. The other thing that we noted, there was a concern about the elevation. There was concern that the development had actually been elevated or been elevated artificially. If you actually look on site towards the hedge on the adjoining property, the tree line is actually exactly the same. So the ground level is exactly the same, so it wasn't viewed as if it had been artificially elevated. So we don't consider that to be something very of challenge at this point. The shed appears to be in keeping in size and footprint with the nearby storage unit, and therefore appears to be proportionate in size and scale without dominating the general scenery. I think, as I said before, there was a previous application this year that was withdrawn, but that has no impact on this application or the former application, and I know that was a concern for neighbours as well. So what we shouldn't give weight to in this application is the fact that it's retrospective in nature, and any loss of private view. So I think we felt the concerns we had in the last decision perhaps have been dealt with. We've got adequate plans, and actually the loss of privacy and overlooking is not substantiated having visited the premises. But I did send out a letter just asking, or an email just asking you all to have a look at the plans. So I invite you all to just comment if you've got anything that you want to say regarding this application, or to propose a decision that we should make at this time.
Are there any questions at all?
Does someone want to propose?
Close it.
You need to be...
Are you actually?
Yeah.
I'll propose no observations.
Yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Is that unanimous?
Okay.
So all those?
Thank you. Elena, 07 22 Treble 24, erection of agricultural store, a building at Yard Hand, Brent Road, Brentford. Elena.
Sorry, yeah. Right, this is an application to build an agricultural dwelling at Ham Road, and having looked at the location plan, found it.
That's it. So we find it.
Yeah, it didn't appear to be overly big for the site. They've gone into lots of detail in their application. About effluent and trees and hedges, and it appears that they've given good consideration to whether or not there would be pedestrian and vehicle access, whether anything would be altered, and it isn't, whether there's any public roads to be involved, and there isn't, public rights of way. There was one concern from environmental health about the rearing of poultry and pigs, and that it shouldn't be used for that. But the application is for machinery storage. So, provided they don't change the use to keep in poultry and pigs, I don't think there's too much to be concerned about. What did you think, Sarah, when you looked at this one?
Any questions at all? Can I have a proposal?
David?
No observations.
David's proposing no observation.
Unless anyone feels they have lots of...
Can I have a show of hands, please?
No.
0722 00023, erection of community shop and public toilets on the site of the existing public conveniences to be demolished to include the removal of the temporary shop unit on land adjacent to Brentnall Parish Hall, Brentnall. This matter to be considered as no observations due to the parish council being the applicant.
Because we've all got declared interest, basically.
Okay with that? Thank you.
More on that particular subject later.
Uh, 0722 00023, reduce pollard willow, T1 TPO T2, back to second main fork at Applecross, Station Road, Brentnall. Melina again.
Yeah. This is an application to deal with what sounds like a rather large willow tree. The neighbours are fully in support and note that there's a lot that overhangs their garden, and they are concerned about the possibility of branches breaking off and causing damage or injury. Willow trees do get huge, and they do need to be dealt with, otherwise huge branches do come off, and it's good arboreal practice to keep them trimmed back.
Any questions at all? Can I have a proposal, please?
No, I remember that you're wrong. I think it's 20, I think it's
Yeah.
29.
Oh,
Oh, it is 0722 00029.
29. So I made a mistake.
29.
29. That's spotted.
So can I have a show of hands on that proposal, please?
That was 11:28. Okay.
Thank you.
So, good arboreal practice. I would put, when I put good arboreal practice, there's always proviso, the case officer does not have any issues.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we don't know what is good practice necessarily.
Yes, because we're not tree surgeons or
Yeah, exactly.
arborealists. I'm not. It's not on my CV.
Okay. I want to I said like it.
Members' activity reports. Any new or outstanding footpath matters? Footpath change.
Collins asked me to say about the going forward for Steve Pinn, for us to look at Steve Pinn to have a yearly contract to clear the footpath up the knoll and from Windy Ridge House round to the tanks, so that once it's been cleared, it's then kept cleared and we don't have people going, "Oh, it's a mess," or there are brambles in the way or something. So he just asked me to mention that that was something that we might look at for a yearly thing.
Thank you, Amanda.
So also to add to that, I took a walk up there a week, 10 days ago, and I'll happily send some pictures. There is still some fence, obviously, damage up there, and it's still down near the church on the corner. That area is still still down, and animals can still travel from that point. So just I'll send pictures over if you want.
Thank you. What do we want to do about that?
Well, I believe that's an ongoing problem because the way I understand it, that fence belongs to the farmer who doesn't really want to do anything about it. So it's, yeah.
Colin got them a price, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they didn't want to do
They didn't want to get it done. So, yeah, then you come back to whose animals are they, what damage are they going to do, stuff like that. And if the landowner doesn't want to, you know, actively pursue their fencing issues, it's a sticky one.
Nothing's stopping you having livestock on a footpath.
No, exactly. Even if they cause a problem, all it will do is it'll put people off using the footpath, won't it? Because especially if there's cattle on there, or as has been cattle and horses and stuff like that that are you know, exhibiting threatening behaviour to walkers and dogs and stuff.
For those in the past, have we made an offer to meet people halfway as a council of Wobblers? If you'd be looking honest.
Yeah, I mean, generally the responsibility sits with the landowner. The parish council has met landowners part way on stiles,
Yes.
because technically they should be doing those as well. It's not our responsibility, but we've helped by just taking those on. I think the danger we've got is how far do you then go if we do it for one landowner?
Yeah.
How do you not do it for the next? And again, even with the maintenance of the clearing of the paths, we've got to be careful in the sense of, do we set a precedent for every other landowner to say, well, we won't do our maintenance anymore, so the parish council will come and do it for us.
Is there not an argument that maybe we do the work and then pass the charge back to the landowner, given their liability to maintain the fencing? Not that we want to do that, but it's...
As long as they
Yeah.
who's going to make them pay?
Is it worth talking to rights of way? The county? Or is that?
Not in terms of fencing, because they'll simply say it's not their responsibility. It is down to the landowner.
Do they have an ability to do it? Are they required to have that?
No,
No.
So
because it could be open.
There never was one back in the day. It's them that put the fence up.
but if they put the fence up and they're
Yeah.
able to...
Because we used to, like going back to when I was a child, the footpath went straight up through the middle and everyone just walked up. There was never any fencing there. That's a kind of a new-ish thing. So of course now people are walking on fences, as you know, knocking them down, and the animals lean on them, and yeah.
But if there's a danger and it's causing potential danger, then that's an issue that sits with the landowner and I think should be taken back.
Well, isn't it that if an animal is dangerous, it's the responsibility of the owner of the animal to keep it in? Is that
Yeah, but it's not out technically, is it? It's still on their land.
Yeah.
It's on their land, yes, so it's the person who's got permission to walk through it. Exactly. You do it at your own risk, presumably.
What, to walk through it?
Presumably,
No,
I
if you
think.
go onto somebody else's land.
No, but if they're on their own land, because that's what I was saying. Yeah,
Okay.
if there's no footpath there, but say that's the footpath and they've got anyone's got permission to walk through it,
Okay.
if they want to put 10 bulls in it, who are all going to charge at people, it's the risk of the person that wants to walk through it.
Potentially, but you've got occupiers liability. You're the owner,
Well-
you're the landowner, you would have liability to those stuff.
Yeah, they have public
Yeah.
liability if
Yeah.
something happened.
Exactly.
But
if
they could
something-
just as easily take the fence out completely
Well,
and just
then
leave it all open.
that is potentially an issue.
Yeah.
But if it's...
or they'll put up a sign saying enter at your own risk, so
They could do that, but
Then
it still
you-
doesn't remove their
Yeah, that's never advisable to do though, because you're accepting that there is a potential
Yeah.
risk to people walking through. You're not supposed to put signs up warning people of the risk.
yeah, I just
Because
don't
if
know what
something
they
happens.
yeah, I just don't know what they would do if
Okay.
nothing, no.
Right.
So,
The only other thing I was going to say, I mean, ultimately, as you said, the responsibility sits with the landowner. They are supposed to only put animals in there that shouldn't be a risk. And there are rules about whether you can have, I think, you can have bulls in there, providing there are cows in there as well, because otherwise they get
beef.
cross.
And only beef bulls, yeah, not dairy bulls.
Yeah, so I mean, there are regs as to what they can and can't do, but ultimately it does sit with them. I mean, it's fortunately not in this parish, but there was an incident within the last year in another parish that I go to where someone was trampled by cattle on the footpath. Health and safety executive didn't take it any further in the end, but it did get to that stage. So ultimately, it might be worth just making the landowner aware that they do have some
That would be
responsibility potentially,
Yeah.
but only for their benefit rather than for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, just after, I think we proposed that we actually write him and ask him in our strongest terms for him to come back to us with what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And then we'll make a decision, hopefully within the next meeting.
Yeah.
But it's, it's all nice up there apart from the corner part, which is right next to the church, so it seems that you're
Yeah.
Yeah.
spoiling the ship for hitting tar. So, but yeah, if we can write a letter, I might propose we write a letter and ask for a response back for the next parish council meeting.
Okay, got that?
anything from the highways team?
Only, well, that note we had about Station Road, the nasty bend, and I witnessed a car going 70 plus down that road, and it's lethal. And I go up and down that road every day, and trying to cross over on that bend, it's a blind bend. I know locals know it is, but the other week, somebody shot past me doing at least 70.
It's also used as a bus stop now, which has become more
Yes.
prominent over the last couple of years. That corner, my children used to walk across there, and there's half a dozen now that catch
Yeah.
a bus from that corner point from the farm. So it is twice a day now it's used as a bus stop.
I believe a lady had a fall while she was walking her dog near the bridge the other day. An ambulance was called. I haven't heard further.
She's okay, yeah, she's okay, yeah. Just a few bruises and that lot, and
Was that before the bridge?
yeah, it was the Station Road side of the bridge, yeah, not the Hand Road side, the Station Road side, but yeah. She's doing okay.
Do you know what was the cause of it?
A blackout, apparently, so.
No, right. It wasn't anything to do with the
No.
road or anything like that.
No, but it's not very nice there,
No.
no, not very nice at all.
Thank you.
Could I just ask, in terms of this corner, are we able to again have a word with the owners of the, I think it's September cottage? Because they have trimmed the hedge,
Yes.
but it's still beyond the bricks,
Yeah.
and it really wants to be taken back to
The
the...
lady who owns the cottage apparently has got dementia. I believe she's got early stage dementia anyway. Because I did speak to her, I think it was a son, I think I spoke to, and he said that they dealt with it,
Yeah, it does
They
need
had
to go
done.
further back.
but they'd only just dealt with it, it's only just trimmed it a bit. I think.
Yeah.
So I could go back to them, ask them the question again.
It's still actually protruding beyond the brick wall,
Yes.
and it needs to be back to the other side of the brick wall, to be honest,
Yeah.
if we're going to get any visibility around that corner.
Definitely a meter counts.
And I mean, the suggestion that was made by, I think, the person who wrote the letter about mirrors, as we said before, county highways tend to be very sceptical about having mirrors because they've had problems with them in the past. People rely on them thinking that they're right, and in fact, people have vandalised them or covered them or moved them, and you suddenly think you're okay because there's no lights, so you're not seeing a reflection, and it's because the thing's pointing in the wrong direction.
Could you not change the road markings somehow so that it's not, I don't know.
The problem is because the B3140, which is the designated road, is the one that goes around the corner,
Yeah.
so people get confused because they think going into Brent Street is the continuation, but it isn't.
Yes, exactly.
Brent Street isn't classified as a B roads.
It's done by chevrons as well on the main road when you're driving along. Surely the highway should be able to put chevrons on it, you know, going into the corners and that lot. That's what I normally do on sharp blind corners, is chevrons
That's
on the
what I mean, if
roads.
there was some sort of warning that there was something that looked irregular.
No, there isn't,
I
not for
don't know,
Station
there
Road.
isn't there.
It's just a 30-mile-an-hour sign, I think, on the road, that's it.
If there was some
Chevrons is
warning
more
that there was something
visible.
that looked abnormal, or that they know that, hang on a minute, this isn't as it looks, we need to,
Because the only sign from Burton Road is just that there's the warning triangle,
Yeah.
the zigzag.
There used to be chevrons,
Whether
you
it
came
be
from Station Road.
yeah,
Chevrons
does,
be
yeah.
more visible.
Yeah,
or something saying beware,
yeah,
stop.
because, yeah.
Yeah.